If you find yourself wondering, how long do I need to continue doing hyperbaric to keep these benefits? We're going to cover that question in this next video. So in previous videos, we've talked about how many sessions a person needs to do, how frequently does somebody need to go in order to get certain responses that they're looking for. The next layer to that question is, do I have to keep doing hyperbaric over and over again to maintain those benefits? That's what we're going to talk about. And the answer, like those other answers, starts with, it really depends on what your goals are. There is no one-size-fits-all answer to a question like that. Let's take a few scenarios. If you used hyperbaric for an issue that you had, and that issue had a beginning and an end, in other words, it was a traumatic event. You broke an arm, you have a tendonitis, a TBI, or concussion, a brain injury of some kind. Well, if you used hyperbaric as a tool to help improve your healing and recovery, and ultimately you reach a point where you're now healed and recovered, you could basically stop hyperbaric completely and expect that your healing is complete. There should be no reason that removing the therapy would allow for a downslide of your issues or symptoms. Once something is healed, you get to keep it and you get to keep it forever. Some people in that scenario might find that there were other benefits. So I did hyperbaric for my TBI, but I also found it helped X, Y, or Z. And as a result, even though my TBI is now healed, I'm choosing to do hyperbaric on an ongoing capacity because I enjoy those other benefits that I've noticed. Let's contrast that to a condition that doesn't necessarily have a beginning and an end. Autoimmune conditions are pretty common examples. Neurodegenerative diseases are often good examples of this. In other words, somebody is diagnosed with a condition and that condition isn't necessarily going to be cured in a way where they no longer need to address the problem. And so in those cases, what we're going to do is we're going to still do a pretty significant, at least initial protocol, answering the question, is this good for me? Do I like it? And am I getting the responses that I'm trying to get? Am I ultimately going to see the improvements that I want? If you go through that initial protocol and you find, yes, I do like it, I did enjoy it, and I'm getting the results that I'm looking for, because this disease process doesn't necessarily have an end, it's very likely that using hyperbaric as a portion of your continued care is very likely. What that might look like is going to vary dramatically, just like it does with other issues. What's the severity? How quickly do symptoms start coming back? Is the inflammation rising again? Once you've done your initial protocol and you've taken a little bit of a break, how do you do during that break? If inflammation starts to rise again or other symptoms start to flare up again, we're going to want to go back and start putting hyperbaric sessions in and figure out for you what's the right balance, or for your patient, what's the right balance of therapies? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Is it twice a week? Is it a 20-hour protocol over a 3 to 4 week period followed by a 3-month break? And then another 20-hour protocol in a 3 to 4 week period, followed by another 3-month break. There are many different ways that the ongoing care might look after the initial protocol. However, if you found benefit from the treatment and your disease process is a continuous process, we're going to have to figure out where hyperbaric fits in your regular therapy protocol long term to make sure that we're maintaining the benefits that we got initially. And then there's other issues like mitochondrial dysfunction or just generalized inflammation. It's not been diagnosed. We don't have an exact answer for what it is other than the symptoms that either you or a patient of yours are experiencing. In those cases, we will do an initial protocol. Again, just to answer the question, are we getting the results that you're looking for? And then we can leave it alone, right? So let's use inflammation as an example. Is hyperbaric effective for reducing inflammation? Generally speaking, yes. 1, by reducing inflammatory cytokines, 2, by increasing anti-inflammatory cytokines, and 3, by increasing the regulatory cytokines, helping to maintain balance of inflammation throughout your system. So you have this elevated inflammation, you do a protocol of hyperbaric, it brings your inflammation down. We can now pull the therapy, and if ultimately we had gotten to the root cause of your issue, there's no reason to think the inflammation will continue to rise. If, however, there is still another root issue creating inflammation in your body, well, then we may have either reduced it, but now as we take a break from hyperbaric and the inflammation starts to climb, your symptoms start to come back. And now what we'll do is we'll put hyperbaric back in, bring it back down, and now we have to try to find, again, one of two things. Either the rhythm of hyperbaric that helps keep the inflammation at bay, or now we need to start digging deeper to figure out what is the root cause of the inflammation. Can we get rid of that so that not only can we get rid of the root, we can actually stop hyperbaric and keep that patient completely balanced and keep their inflammation at bay. Those are all the different ways to consider this question of how long does somebody have to do hyperbaric in order to get the benefits. If you find this video helpful, please like it, please subscribe. Every time somebody likes these videos and subscribes to these videos, YouTube rewards us by making sure other people who have the same questions get this content. And it's important to us to get our message to as many people as we can asking questions just like you are. So the more people who like and subscribe, the more likely other people are gonna find this content, and I appreciate that. We'll see you next time. Whether you're a chiropractor or a naturopath or an acupuncturist or a DO or even an MD, but you're looking at hyperbarics through this lens, the lens that I'm describing, which is applying hyperbarics for all these off-label conditions, this is the class that teaches that. And right now it's the only class that teaches this type of hyperbarics in this way, and that's an actual certification course. Check out hbotusa.com, and right across the top you'll see upcoming events. You can click on that and it'll show you when our next courses are going to be.